Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast where two guys use the magic of the almighty algorithm, all hail the algorithm, to watch random movies and then talk about them. And with me, as always, is the amazing, the incredible, the formidable, the sexiest man alive to my ugliest man alive, Kyle Mulford. And I'm Noah Saturn. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm here. Ta-da!
It's good that you're here.
It's like magic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. This is one of our mini episodes, which sometimes turns into a maxi episodes called What You Watchin', where we just talk about what we've been watching. Kyle, I think you can go first.
Okay, I'll try and go through my movies quick and what I recommend and what I don't, because I watched a lot.
Yeah, because it's been 4 weeks since we last recorded.
I'll start with the Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. It debuted on HBO Max when it went into theaters, so I watched that opening night in my home.
Nice.
I'm a fan of the Conjuring movies, and do I believe these Warrens are like the real deal? No, I don't believe in this stuff, but they make for
It's fun fiction.
It is. They make for entertaining movies, and I was thoroughly entertained by this one.
Have not seen. I've only saw the first one.
I think the first one might be the best, but I really enjoyed this one actually for the story that it was. So I'm a fan of all the Conjuring movies so far, like the actual Conjuring, not like all of the spin-offs, because there's some bad spin-offs.
Not the Conjuring verse with Annabelle. Annabelle Comes Home. The Nun.
Some of those were okay, but some were kind of bad. Mm-hmm. So, but I enjoyed that, and that's on HBO Max. Probably for a little while anyway. Then on Peacock, I watched Conan the Barbarian from 1982.
Nice.
Prom!
Thank you, Arnold.
This is classic sword and sandal 1982. Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of his early features when he just becoming a star. So, and he's a little boy. His family is killed by a guy who worships snakes or something like that, played by James Earl Jones with a really bad wig.
Nice.
And so then Arnold grows up and breaks away.
And he grows up and turns into Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And, and then he gets his revenge, and it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of fun.
The classic character, Robert E. Howard character.
Yes. Then I watched Black Rain from 1989. This was on HBO Max. This is one that I always remembered the box art cover when going through the video store when I was a kid, and I never got around to seeing this one. And Michael Douglas like in the rain with a motorcycle or something like that. It's you know that cover when you see it, but I didn't realize who was involved in this. 1989, Michael Douglas, directed by Ridley Scott, and the music was composed by Hans Zimmer.
Nice.
And
that's pretty early Hans Zimmer then.
That is, and when I saw his name pop up on screen, I was, kind of paying attention to the score throughout this, and I go, wow, he really, like, after Inception, he got, like, just in a groove of doing the big blah with everything. Mm-hmm. But, like, this, going back to, like, 89, some of his early movies, it was way different, and it was actually really good. And not that his stuff now isn't good. I enjoy Hans Zimmer a lot, but like, this was very different. And
my favorite Hans Zimmer score will always be Pirates of the Caribbean. It's just so much fun.
Oh, I kind of forgot that he did that one too, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's done so much. The movie itself, though, you got Michael Douglas and his partner Andy Garcia caught up in they ended up going to Japan, and they're a couple of cops, and they caught up in the Japan mafia and all this stuff, and it's kind of cool. Is
it Sheriff J.W. Pepper who shows up in a couple of James Bond movies?
Yes, I think there was someone I recognized from Bond. So that's who it was, wasn't it?
No, I don't think so. I'm just saying goofy Southern Sheriff J.W. Pepper is just a random Bond character. Oh. I like to imagine it would have.
Well, now I'm thinking there was maybe it was another movie I watched that had someone that I recognized from Bond movies. But anyway, Michael Douglas versus the Yakuza. A lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched Streets of Fire on Netflix because it came to Netflix, and I was like, well, I got to watch it. Nice. And I'm pretty sure I've talked about this one before, so I'm not going to say much about it other than this is one of my faves, and it's awesome.
Rock and roll,
It's on
man.
Netflix. Go watch it. And then I got on DVD from Netflix, Hard Boiled from 1992. And this was a John Woo film right before he came to Hollywood. I think it was one of his last ones before coming to Hollywood. And this was one I've always heard about. And boy, this is not a good movie. I think this one gets praised a lot by people. And it just like,
But is it cool?
there's some cool fight scenes, but like even the end is set in a hospital and it just goes on and on.
Like a Lord of the Rings ending?
Yes. Only it's not multiple ending, it's just one really long ending. It's just I didn't care for this movie that much.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority, but
Were they in the same hospital where John Travolta and Nick Cage switched faces?
I bet they were. I will watch Face Off any day before I watch Hard Boiled again.
I will watch Face Off any day.
I could watch Face Off for hours. Then I think that this might be on your list too. My wife was super excited about this, so we watched it opening night on HBO Max, In the Heights.
I saw In the Heights in theaters, and I had a great time.
I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one you can tell was early Lin-Manuel Miranda. It didn't have all the kinks out of it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the writing goes, I like Hamilton and I liked In the Heights, but his style of music in a musical, it's just not my taste.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a classic musical guy, and there's a lot of
Nerd.
times in his music that they're like the lyrics don't. And I know people are gonna get mad at me for this, but there is a lot of times in his songs and his movies that the lyrics don't flow properly for me.
Mm-hmm.
They're like they don't flow. The lyrics don't flow with the music. Like, and it seems jarring to me. Whereas everyone else is like, "This is the best music in the world." I'm like, there are certain phrases I'm going, "Oh, that just didn't sound right." Like, but I don't know. I think it's just me
Mm-hmm.
because
You're just a grumpy old man.
And I'm not even grumpy about it. I still enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I did get conflicting messages from it though, because it was all about follow your dreams, and then him getting mad that his girlfriend was following her dreams. It was just like,
Yeah.
it was a very the messages in this movie were very conflicted.
Mm-hmm. And then I've also heard another big criticism is like the music. Some of the musical numbers didn't feel like they wanted. I guess a lot of people would prefer like longer takes as opposed to more shorter Baz Luhrmann takes. I didn't mind the musical numbers having shorter editing, but also I can see like, listen, we paid a choreographer to do this. We want to see the people dance with longer, wider shots.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard they've made so many changes from the stage play that a lot of people who love the stage play actually hated this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I enjoyed it. I had a few qualms with it, but it is a good time. I will give it that. Speaking of a good time, I watched the World War II Suicide Squad, The Dirty Dozen from 1967.
Nice. That's a classic.
Oh man, Donald Sutherland having a blast in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are scenes in this where he's smiling because he's just having a fun time, not because his character's supposed to be smiling.
Mm-hmm.
and just the all-star cast of the Charles Bronson is great in this. I think the more I watch Charles Bronson other than Death Wish, the more I like him. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I love him in Once Upon a Time in the West. I love him in this. Yeah, and then the rest of this cast, you know, Telly Savalas and Donald Sutherland and God, I can't even think of
John Cassavetes.
yeah, and George Kennedy.
And of course Lee Marvin.
Yes, Lee Marvin. That's the name I was drawing a blank on. He's kind of the Rick Flag of the group.
Mm-hmm.
So that's on HBO Max as well. And that is the only thing I can say is it's got kind of a mixed like vibe to it. You don't know what it's going for because the first half is comedy and the second half is, oh my God, everybody's dying and this is sad. And like, it's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was a comedy for a while and then it got real serious, but the tone shift is kind of weird, but overall just a great movie. And then on Tubi TV, I watched Moon from 2009. And this
Sam
is a
Rockwell, Sam Rockwell, and Sam Rockwell.
that's a Sam Rockwell showcase, and I am
Mm-hmm.
a Sam Rockwell fan.
Yep.
This is a great movie. A small movie by Duncan Jones, son of David Bowie. A guy harvesting stuff off the moon. This is set in the future, and then you find out, and this is not really spoiler because it's kind of the whole thing of the movie. You find out he's a clone, and then it kind of gets into the morality of what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a cool movie. Unfortunately, the robot is voiced by Kevin Spacey, and we don't like that anymore. But like
At least
everything
it's
else
just a
Kevin Spacey
robot.
did, he was still good as the robot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more of a Sam Rockwell showcase anyway. So
Definitely.
definite recommend on that one. And then on HBO Max, I watched another Ridley Scott film, Black Hawk Down from 2001. Had never seen this one before. Mission gone bad. Helicopter goes down, fighting their way out of the city based on true events. I kind of felt like a lot of people like this one too, and I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority of this, but I thought it kind of went on a little too long.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great cast: Eric Bana, Ewan McGregor. Now I'm drawing a blank on it because there were so many people and I can't even focus on one person, but a lot of good people in this movie. And Josh Hartnett was in it. But yeah, good action in it, but kind of dragged on a little long. Amazon Prime, I watched Reign of Fire from 2002, and this is going to be another high recommend. This is Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey
versus dragons,
and Gerard Butler versus dragons. And this is so great because it's set in modern day. Like, I think they discovered dragons when Christian Bale's character is real young, and then it cuts to the future, and I think the future date was 2020, which was very fitting.
Yeah, I can see that. It's the only thing we were missing.
Yeah, everything's destroyed because they kept firing nukes and all this stuff. And so then Christian Bale has this whole group in England or whatever, and they're just trying to survive. Well, then in comes the Americans. Yeah, the badass Americans led by Matthew McConaughey in a tank. And he comes in and is like, I'm a dragon killer. And so together they go to try and defeat the dragons. And this movie's badass, and it's
I'm
awesome.
here for it.
It's so much fun. I can't believe I had never seen that before. Then continuing our MCU rewatch, I watched Thor with my wife and one of my daughters on Disney Plus.
See our episode on it.
Yeah, I'm not even going to say anything about it. We've got a whole episode on Thor, so we'll pass on right by that one. Continued on speaking of Bond earlier, my Bond Blu-rays. I watched You Only Live Twice from 1967. And this is the one you were talking about before that has
Sheriff J.W. Pepper, right?
No, that has the offensive Japanese makeup.
Yeah, that is painful. This is like, woo.
But this is also the one where Blofeld is played by Donald Pleasance, which is awesome, and he has a lair in a volcano, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of got over the offensive Japanese Japanese face.
Yeah, it's not in the movie for very long.
And it kind of like just goes away right away after. He doesn't even keep it on. Basically, someone's snatching. This is late 60s, so the space race stuff, and someone's snatching like satellites out of space, and they can't figure out who, and they kind of like follow the breadcrumbs to Japan, and and Bond has to figure out who's doing it, and it's Blofeld and
save the world again, yada yada.
Save the world, and yeah. It's a really cool movie because this is where you get those big layers in villain layers, because this is the ultimate like lair in a volcano.
Yeah, cool. This is every spy movie. It has to come from somewhere.
And I think this one's the one that's parodied the most, like when they're thinking of like spy like tropes.
I mean, this is Austin Powers.
Yes. Then continuing again on the MCU, we watched a few of these. Rewatched the Avengers with my wife and kids, and on Disney Plus, and this holds up. Such a fun time. Mm-hmm. This was so cool to see all the superheroes on screen for the first time, and you know what? it still holds up as really cool seeing them and get together for the first time in the MCU, and a lot of great lines and great scenes, and
Mm-hmm.
I still love the Hulk slamming Loki all over the room, and it's like puny god. uh, yeah, that's it really holds up.
That just like you do this, you do this, you do this. Hulk smash.
Smash. Then again, continuing MCU, we watched Thor: The Dark World. This is one I always remembered like not liking. Well, it turns out it's not bad. It's just overall forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed watching it again. I had fun watching it, but like now I'm like barely remembered something about dark elves and wanting to destroy the universe and yada 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 and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's enjoyable. It's on Disney Plus, but it's not the best MCU.
Yeah,
I
we
rewatched.
really lucked out with the Thor Ragnarok when it comes to Thor movies.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait to get to that one. Then I watched The History of Future Folk again on Netflix because I fell in love with that movie the first time I watched it. I talked about it before. This time I watched it with my wife and she enjoyed it. So please, everyone, go watch The History of Future Folk on Netflix.
Nerd.
Then Prime Day happened in these weeks that we haven't been recording, and I bought the Jurassic Park Blu-ray / 4K set for my home theater. And I watched the first Jurassic Park from 1993 with my daughter Elsa, and it's got the DTSX surround sound. And so, man, did they do a good job on this. And
Nice.
I was even watching with Elsa, and she's seen it before with me, and I said, is this scarier? Now that you can hear like dinosaurs coming from all directions behind you, above you, like on the sides. And she goes, yeah. I go, doesn't that make it awesome? She just goes, how dare you? That was pretty
Nice.
great. Then family movie night. I introduced my daughters, and my wife had already seen this, but introduced my daughters to The Last Dragon. Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon,
Of course.
1985. I I grew up watching this so many times. I love this movie. Bruce Leroy fighting Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem.
Nice.
Kiss my Converse. This is a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just basically a guy who loves Bruce Lee, and he's trying to find his inner glow. And there's a bad guy named Shonuff who, like, picking on everybody and destroys his dad's pizzeria because he's like, I gotta fight you because you're the only person who says they can beat me. And
So this is different from No Retreat, No Surrender, where like a guy is trained by the ghost of Bruce Lee.
I don't know if I've seen that. That sounds awesome.
It's it's goofy. Has a very early Jean-Claude Van Damme in it.
Nice. So anyway, I recommend Last Dragon. Then I watched Predator on Hulu from 1987. I think you just talked about this one,
I did talk about this one.
and a lot of fun. Arnold again.
In the jungle.
Arnold in the jungle fighting a predator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what more do you need to say about that?
Yep.
Continuing the MCU, we watched Iron Man 3 on Disney Plus, and I like this one. It's a Shane Black film. There's only one Shane Black film I don't like. Speaking of Predator, it's his The Predator. But Iron Man 3 is a lot of fun. I like that it deals with the PTSD aspect of the battle in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's more about Tony Stark than it is Iron Man, and but then you get all the suits at the end, which is really cool. And a lot of people hated what they did with the Mandarin. I loved the fake out in the theater. I was like, that is great.
It was pretty funny.
Ben Kingsley as Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's a lot of fun. I like that one a lot.
I also really enjoyed just the sort of how he spent most of the movie like, all right, without my suit, how do I deal with this?
Yeah,
And how he sort of try and sort of MacGyver his way through it.
Yeah, and I like the little kid because it's a Shane Black movie, so there's always a precocious kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that kid helps him out and with stuff and helps him work through things. And I think my wife pointed out, because she said she saw that someone posted that's the kid that I didn't know who was at the funeral of Iron Man. There was some
Yeah,
kid
he did show up in
I was like, who is that? And then it was
At
like, I
Endgame.
completely forgot about this kid from Iron Man 3, and that's who it was. I was like, that's kind of cool. Then also on that Prime Day, I bought the Mad Max Fury Road High Octane set. So it's got the 3 original Mad Max movies on Blu-ray and Fury Road on Blu-ray, Fury Road black and white on, or is it black and chrome on Blu-ray, and then Fury Road on 4K. So I got all sorts of Fury Road. And I watched Fury Road.
Witness me.
Witness me! That's a cool movie. Just visually stunning. And Charlize Theron is badass, and basically just someone controls the water in a post-apocalyptic.
We don't need to talk about this one.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah, really great practical effects. Like these people on the cars, actually on the cars, it just looks phenomenal.
It was a great mix for sure.
Yeah, the mix of CGI and practical, because I mean, like that guy playing the guitar on that car, he's actually riding on the front of that car playing a guitar. So, you know, those people on those big pikes, actually on those big pikes, it's insane. So, worth a look. And then the last one from my Jurassic Park 4K set, I watched The Lost World Jurassic Park with my daughter. She had only seen the first one before, so we're going to work.
I mean, you could stop after the first one and be fine, but
we're going to work through them all.
Okay.
And actually, I think this one, they did even better with the sound. So, I mean, if you've got a good Atmos surround system, check out these Blu-ray or these 4K discs. This one actually, I don't mind this one, except there's one part at the end, and this isn't even a spoiler, even though it's at the very end. They kill a dog, and it serves no purpose.
Boo.
Boo Steven Spielberg. Like, Elsa was sitting on the couch going, Why did you kill a dog? It didn't even do anything. It wasn't even part of the story. It had nothing. It wasn't even one of the main characters. It wasn't even a character in the movie.
Remember, gymnastics can beat dinosaurs.
Yes, that's kind of a cheesy part, but
I just like to imagine that means that like Simone Biles could like kill every dinosaur she ever meted if she wanted to.
I know she's on my team if we get overrun by dinosaurs for sure.
Yeah, I mean she could like just do like one flip and take down a T-Rex.
Just shatter every one of them.
Exactly.
Now none of the Jurassic Park movies are as good as the first one, but this one actually is this one is still directed by Steven Spielberg, and it's still a cool movie. And you got Jeff Goldblum back, so that one's worth a look out of all of them. The fifth one is going to be which is the second Jurassic World. That one might be hard to watch again. But anyway,
Fallen Kingdom or whatever.
Yeah, that was.
I just hope in the next one, Dominion or whatever they're going to call it, they just give the dinosaurs guns.
Yes, that would be great. And then
also, have you heard the alleged rumors going around that there's considering like a Jurassic World crossover with Fast and Furious?
Oh, I've seen a lot of people making memes of that. I figured that was just this would be fun because they're both Universal.
No, Universal's actually considering it.
Okay, that would be amazing.
Dinosaurs and muscle cars, what more do you want?
I'm trying to picture that, and it's blowing my mind.
Exactly.
All right, what have you been watching? I watched quite a few good things that I hope people seek out.
I watched some good ones too. First one I watched Horse Feathers, which is the
Marx Brothers.
Marx Brothers go to college and they play football.
Is this the one where Groucho is like at one point a professor or something like that? Or
yeah, he's like it's the professor of the school is to figure out how to save the school because they're all out of money.
I love those old Marx Brothers movies.
Good Marx Brothers goodness. Then I watched Pink Flamingos, the John Waters classic.
I haven't seen this, but it's on my to-watch list. I hope I can stomach it, because I know there's a certain scene in there.
The one where Divine eats poop.
Yes.
Yep. But yeah, John Waters is definitely one of a kind. I mean, the whole plot of the movie is like these are supposed to be the filthiest people alive.
Does that give a new meaning to shit, eat, and grin?
I guess so.
Yeah, John Waters is a character, and his movies are interesting to say the least. That's why I want to see it at least once sometime.
And it's so, I guess, he is camp incarnate. And just, as he says, the Pope of Trash for good reason. He just enjoys the goofy, trashy nature. And it's fun because everything is so over the top. It's funny. Like,
Yeah.
this is terrible and ridiculous, and it's great.
Yeah, because he's the one who did Crybaby, right? With
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Depp. Because it's been a long time since I've seen that, but I really want to watch that one again, actually.
I need to see his movie Serial Mom, which I haven't seen.
Oh, yeah.
Next, I watched The Hitman's Bodyguard with Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson is a hitman who's got to testify against an evil dictator guy, and the only person who can get him to The Hague in one piece is Ryan Reynolds, who used to be like one of the world's greatest bodyguards, but then lost everything after he lost a client.
You will enjoy this movie if you like Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson being Samuel L. Jackson for an hour and a half, and I do, and I did.
And it was great.
And you like Salma Hayek being Salma Hayek.
Mm-hmm.
And who doesn't?
That was, a great trio, and I really enjoyed this one, and highly recommended. Great action, great humor, and just the weird sort of love story that's going on between Darius and Selma. Yeah, Sam Jackson and Selma Hayek.
Now, did you watch this so that you could go see the sequel?
Yes, and I'll get to that.
I was wondering.
Next, I saw In the Heights, and we talked about In the Heights. Saw it in theaters. It was fun. It's my first movie back in theaters. I had a good time. Next, I watched The Cat from Outer Space on Disney Plus from 1978.
Nice. I think I saw this when I was a kid. I don't remember it, but I think I saw it.
Yeah, bunch of goofy, aliens come down, and it's a cat with a magic collar. His name is Jake, and he meets the absent-minded professor. Then they have to work together to hopefully Jake can get back home in time. Otherwise, he'll be stuck on Earth forever. And he also meets a fun lady cat named Snowbell.
Awesome.
And they're trying to sort of figure out what to do while also evading these goofy military guys.
All right.
Yeah, it's
what year is that from?
1978. Got a solid cast too. It's very goofy, but I had so much fun. I thought it was well edited to make it look like the cat was actually talking or reacting to things.
Some of those old Disney live action from like the 60s and 70s can be a lot of fun.
Doesn't necessarily, it's like 90 minutes. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and they do have a lot of fun with it, and you can do anything with the magic collar, even fly. Next,
did he turn out to be like a flurkin or flarkin?
Yeah, you're making that joke before. Yeah, I assume maybe it is the same species, or at least a very similar species. Next, I saw The Relic from 1997, I think. 97 or 98. It's based off of a book, and it's about a monster goes around causing havoc at the Chicago Field Museum.
Awesome.
Yeah, and really cool monster design, fun movie, great cast. And also, what was really fun is I was like, man, you know who Sue the T-Rex is, right?
I don't know.
Sue the T-Rex is one of the most complete T-Rex specimens ever found and is on permanent display at the Chicago Field Museum. If you ever go in there, Sue is one of the first things you see. It's like, man, Sue could have kicked this monster's ass. That's for sure. So everyone loves Sue.
Awesome.
Next, I saw Brother to Brother, which has a very, very, very young, baby-faced Anthony Mackie. So that's cool to see him in a very early role.
Oh, cool.
And this one is about Anthony Mackie plays a gay college student who ends up striking up a friendship with a homeless man who's also happened to be gay, and it finds out that this man was one of the last surviving members of the Harlem Renaissance. And it's based off, because he was a real man, and it's based off his memories and how he was with, Langston Hughes, E. Cummings, and all these other cool members of the Harlem Renaissance. So it's a neat part of history I hadn't really heard of, at least hadn't really seen in a movie. So if you like the Harlem Renaissance or just want an interesting part of history, I definitely recommend Brother to Brother.
Cool. And that'd be cool to see Anthony Mackie in an early role. I like Anthony Mackie.
Yes. Next, I watched Lost Highway, directed by David Lynch, and I liked it. It's kind of his version of it's a David Lynch movie about a guy who really doesn't like his wife. And then he kills her, goes to death row, and that is in such denial that he hallucinates like another life entirely.
Yeah, Lynch is. I don't know. I don't know if I'm as big a fan of Lynch. I like some of his stuff, but some is just he's one of those that people hate when you say he's weird to be weird. But I mean, honestly, he is in some of his movies.
I like him. I think he's definitely a very talented director, and from what I understand, like also he's really good to work with. People like working with him, which I think is a lot. So because there's that. Because I actually watched an interesting YouTube video shortly after I watched the movie, comparing this film to The Shining, and talking about how Shelley Duvall was definitely abused by Stanley Kubrick.
Oh yeah,
and how he was so tyrannical and just not nice, and just probably scarred her for life. I don't care who you are, how great of an artist you are, whatever, with a capital A. There's no reason to be mean to someone on your set, no matter what the material is. You shouldn't be tyrannical. No piece of art is worth causing any sort of physical or psychological harm to your cast or your crew.
Yeah, because he was one of those directors that would do horrible things to get the proper reaction out of someone instead of letting them just act because he wanted it to be authentic. It's just like, no, they're actors. They're paid to look authentic without you torturing them.
Anyway, it was a really interesting video talking about that, and also talking about how David Lynch, for all as everyone knows, is actually just like really nice guy, nice to work with.
Oh yeah, I've heard that too. So,
which is great. Next, I watched The Long Good Friday with Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
And this is a great movie talking about sort of a gangster trying to go legit and everything slowly falls apart around him and just trying to figure out what to do and doing everything he can to try and keep his life going. And boy, howdy, does it fall apart in a grand sort of way.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins is missed.
I always forget that I only think of him as like Eddie Valiant from Roger Rabbit and Mario from the Super Mario Brothers movie. Yeah. And I forget that he's British. It takes a moment to realize, like, wait a minute, he's actually British.
Super Mario Brothers was an unfortunate career move.
Are you kidding? It was the best career move. Him and John Leguizamo, Mario, and Luigi Mario.
I did watch that when it came out, and I think I might have even gone to the theater for that.
From what I understand, it was such a terrible experience that Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo would drink bourbon between takes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard stories that they were pretty much drunk through the whole movie.
And, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Oh, it's entertainment for sure. It's a terrible movie, but it's entertainment.
Next, I watched The Gold Rush, the Charlie Chaplin classic, which surprisingly I'd never seen before.
With the black licorice shoe.
Eating the shoe, the fun dance he does with like the dinner rolls.
That Johnny Depp borrows for Benny and June.
And the house that falls over. One of my favorite, then there's like a joke in The Simpsons where like Grandpa Simpson starts doing the same bit, and it's like, and he gets sued by he's like, hey, he gets a cease and desist from the Charlie Chaplin estate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we watched that one when I've been going through The Simpsons with my daughter.
Next, I watched Food of the Gods, which is a movie I remember passing by at the video rental place, and I thought I had a crazy poster. And, there's this food, turns animals giant. Now there's giant rats in a farmhouse in the woods. And oh my gosh, how are we going to stop these giant rats?
Okay, I thought that sounded familiar. The giant rats, yes. I haven't seen this movie, but I know about this one.
Also, I really want to see another movie with giant rats called Deadly Eyes. Because if you've ever seen Deadly Eyes?
No, I don't think I have.
Well, the giant rats in Deadly Eyes are just dachshunds in costumes.
That's amazing.
It's like, they're just good doggies.
It's a puppy dog. It's a puppy rat. They couldn't get a rat terrier?
Nice.
But a pump.
Next, I watched The Sparks Brothers, which is the documentary that just came out, saw in theaters. I was the only person in the theater for this one. This was like an 11 o'clock screening on a Wednesday of a documentary. So, I had the whole theater to myself. It was great.
The Sparks Brothers? Is this a documentary about the white rapper Bubba Sparks?
No, this is a documentary about the band Sparks, and its two brothers, Ron and Russell Mael, are the two main components of it, and how they've been active since like the late '60s, consistently making music and have reinvented themselves and done a lot of incredible sort of pioneering music stuff without ever really becoming a big hit. They were always bigger in Europe when they were here, but because of that, this kind of goes through as they've released like 25 albums.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're very prolific. Any band that released that many albums is incredible.
Did you enjoy their music then?
I enjoyed their music, so in preparation for the movie, I found found like a Spotify playlist, was listening to a bunch of their music, and now I was able to sort of see this documentary and how they're still going strong all these many years later, with tons of like fun celebrity interviews and just like interviewed the band themselves, people they were involved with through all their albums. And it was a lot of fun, and they have got some really fun, weird, kind of goofy music. So it's a band that like you and I might not know, but like musicians really know them really well. They're kind of like you're described as your favorite band's favorite band
Oh, cool.
because everyone loves Sparks, and they're so cool. So I highly recommend it. Also, just they've got great music.
Well, that's awesome.
Next, I watched The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Hey.
Hey, this one was fun because the bad guy this time is Antonio Banderas, who
Awesome.
plays a Greek guy for some reason.
So is this one as fun as the first one?
Yes, because this one is actually shorter. The first one was like 2 hours. This one is actually only 90 minutes. And so
That's a good length for this kind of movie.
the premise of this one is that Ryan Reynolds is now kind of trying to move on from his job as a bodyguard because he still has like nightmares about it, about all the trouble he went through with Samuel L. Jackson. So he decides that he's going to go on vacation. And when he's on vacation, all of a sudden, Salma Hayek shows up and say, "Help, they've taken my husband." And that's just how the movie starts.
Nice.
So then they get sort of tracked in by Interpol. They have to go after this guy because, they killed the wrong guy and all the other goofy things that are going on. So there's sort of dueling bodyguards and then dueling assassins. And then at one point, of all people, like they come into the door to see Ryan Reynolds' dad, and Ryan Reynolds' dad is played by Morgan Freeman.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like, it's my stepdad, but it's fine,
That sounds
So
like
of all people and all these people, it's just really funny just to see Morgan Freeman show up as this apparently like the greatest bodyguard who ever lived. Fun action, definitely feels like a Bond plot half the time, but it's a great time had by all. Just jokes flying the whole time, and like the Interpol agent who's kind of like their handler is actually like on loan. He's from Boston, so he's got a really thick Boston accent.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that one.
Mm-hmm. Next, I watched Force of Evil, which was sort of a small noir starring John Garfield, who was definitely a great actor who died way too young. So he's a great classical actor from that Hollywood era. And this one, he plays kind of like a lawyer for like a small-time racketeer business who's trying to go big time. And it's a noir, so things definitely go well.
Yeah, always go well.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing ever goes wrong in a noir.
Next, after that, I watched a classic camping movie.
Sleepaway Camp?
About four guys who are from the city who decide to go on kind of this a cool adventure out camping and out in do some canoeing in there, having a good time together, and
does one of them squeal like a pig?
Yes, squeal like a pig. It's Deliverance. Mm-hmm. This film was a bit of a rough sit. I mean, for obvious reasons, it was pretty intense.
Yeah, that scene alone is
hard. The rape scene, but also just how the heck are they getting? This is definitely a true survival film because we're stuck behind the rocks. There's a guy trying to kill us, and the one guy who we think would be good at this thing has a busted up leg.
Yeah,
with Burt Reynolds. You think Burt Reynolds would be like the action hero? No, like the focal character is actually John Voight and really Ned Beatty.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
It's also really fascinating just how much they spend on kind of the aftermath of the incident. All right, so we survived. You think that'd be the end of the movie. Now what? Now, like, what do we tell the cops? Because, they killed two guys.
Yeah.
Would you believe it's in self-defense? Like, what do you do? Plus, one of our guys died. What are we going to tell his parent? What are we going to tell his family?
Yeah, crazy.
Mm-hmm. Last, I watched a 1950s sci-fi film, First Man in Space. And this one's, guy goes up to space, test pilot goes up to space, then there's cosmic rays or whatever, comes back and he becomes like a vampire monster. Then they're able to sort of find out what really went wrong because he got covered in this cosmic dust, and honestly, he looks like the Thing from Fantastic Four.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, this was like 1959, and Fantastic Four was 2 years later. So I'm thinking maybe Jack Kirby saw this because he was a big sci-fi guy.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of his stuff has sci-fi elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it any good?
I had a good time. I thought it was a lot more humanizing to the monster than you'd think.
Cool. I'll just check that one out. I
Yep.
like good 50s, 60s B horror
Mhm.
movies.
And that's all I watched. So overall, solid time.
Awesome. Well, this episode went a little long again, but hopefully we gave a lot of good recommendations. And you can find us on Twitter at AwesomeKM.
And I'm at Noah_Saturn. That is spelled Satern.
And we're on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. You can email us at gmail at We Don't Know What to Watch. And until next time, keep on watching.
Keep on watching movies. And don't go canoeing in the woods.
Never.